Hello and welcome to Colin Bradley Artcast. I'm Stephen Bradley.
And I'm Colin Bradley.
How you doing, Dad?
Not so good, mate. Not so good. I've had a little bit of a little problem this week with colds and the usual thing.
Caught
Not
up
not
with you, has it?
yeah, at last, yeah. I've gone through 18 months without any problems, and suddenly got this coming. It's actually not as bad. It hasn't stopped me. I've been going out and about, and I've still been working, as you'll find out. That doesn't hinder me too much. I'm quite used to all of that, but it's been a bit debilitating, really. Having to keep stopping, and especially when I've been filming, and you start something and you start coughing, you've got to get rid of it and start again. You know, edit it out.
Inconvenienced you, hasn't it? It's
Oh,
inconvenienced you.
that's exactly. Yes, yes. It's annoying. It's more than anything else. You feel annoyed. It's always been that way with me ever since I've been doing well ever since all my working life. I've never. I don't think I've ever had any sickness. I don't think I've been off sick at all. It's been one of those things that I've fought on, and in when I was younger, I used to say to myself, "No, I'll work it out. I'll work through it," and I used to do that. Not so easy now to do that as you get a bit older, and you've got to kind of bow to it, really. But fortunately, I work from home, and I can take a bit of time off, and in terms of rest periods and so on.
Yeah,
But anyway, I'm not complaining. It's on its way out now, so
good.
it won't be long now before it's all gone.
Excellent stuff. Well, people will be pleased to hear that it's not stopped you this week. Um, we chatted last week, and you said that there was a picture that you're going to get started with this week, and it's a really interesting story behind this picture. So, before I show it on screen, what made you choose this picture, and then we'll talk about what happened with it.
Well, first of all, I've been looking for subjects which are tricky for my own benefit as well. But the more difficult they are, the more we learn. I've always found that. And I think it should be the same with our members as well, people that follow us. By doing things that are a bit unusual, then I think then, as I say, we learn and we have to get over them. Obstacles, really. And I've always managed to do it. And what we're going to show, I could have got over this one as well. However, you get to a point where you think this is just not going to work as an instruction video, which is what it's all about, really. I mean, I'm not doing it
Okay,
for any other
let's
reason.
give a bit of let's give a bit of context then. So, you started a picture of this owl, and this
Mhm.
is the picture that you sent me as far as you took it. And this owl was in a particularly interesting. It was inside a tree trunk, wasn't it?
It
It's
was,
like
yes.
inside of a tree structure.
Hmm.
Um, it didn't look easy when you started it.
It wasn't.
Um, when you showed me the picture, and this is the picture that you sent to me. Now, what happened in the build up to this, and then what happened after it to make you think that I can't
Well,
progress with this?
well, at this point, I had my doubts about it. It didn't work out quite as nice as I thought it was going to, and I thought, I've got the worst to come. Really, that's the feathers on the remaining area of the chest and the wings. Anyway, I started doing those, and I thought this is just not going to work. I could have made it work for me, but it would have been a struggle. And I just got to the point where I thought, this is just not a good enough picture. I've got plenty of other pictures, and you'll see the latest one, which I'm doing, which You know, I'd much rather do, because I know that it's attainable, Steve. You know, people will be able to do it. And whereas this one, I can see people going, "Oh, Colin, you know, you've given me so, I can't do this and I can't do that," and I could understand that perfectly well, because when I struggle, then I know that people are going to have that sort of problem. And
It's good that you have that self awareness as
mm,
an artist and as a tutor, because obviously the first thing you're aiming to do with your classes is to not just show off what you can do. It's to make a picture that people can follow, and
mm,
achieve themselves. And as you
mm,
say, I think there's a difference between muddling on through as you'd started it, muddling on through, getting the results you wanted, but then that being quite convoluted for someone watching and making it more difficult to follow for them. And, are you doing the picture then for the sake of it, for ego, just, oh, well, I've started it, I can do it, I can finish it, disregarding whether the fact that anyone could actually follow you doing this.
mm,
And to have that self awareness, I think, is really important, as
mm,
a tutor. And I think on this show, and as part of your journey, I think it's really key to show, what you do and decide not to do. And in this case, this picture, what doesn't work out and what does work out. Um, I got to say, I love what you've done so far. Obviously, clearly, you could get the effects you wanted, but it's translating that to the student that is a whole other thing,
mm.
right?
That's right. Well, I mean, when I got as far as a quarter of the way down the body, and first of all, it didn't look that good, to be honest. You can almost see that from the sketch I made. It doesn't really hold water. It's a scruffy little fella, and it's nice to have a scruffy little fella if it's endearing. This wasn't endearing at all. I couldn't get into the picture and think, oh, this is beautiful. I'm really going to enjoy this. And that's another point, of course. I wasn't enjoying it. Even getting to the point where I'm at here, I wasn't really enjoying the picture. It wasn't, and the eyes particularly, I worked on those eyes a bit, making them more acceptable. One eye was slightly skew with, and I thought, well, I can't leave it like that. So I had to change that. And when you start doing that, you're changing the picture to the point where it just doesn't look right. And this is what was happening with this. So sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. It's very,
Fair
very
enough.
rare.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, like I say, it's really key for us to show this, and it's a really good talking point, and it just shows, um, what does and doesn't work out for you in terms of when you start a picture. It's not always a home run, and that's okay. That's absolutely fine.
Mm.
Okay, so then what you sent me after telling me that that wasn't going to work out, you sent me another picture that you started working on, and that is this one on screen right now. As you
Mm.
say, you had lots of others lined up. Um, what I can believe is when you sent this to me and you said, "This is my sketch to begin with," because to me that's almost a full blown graphite pencil drawing.
Yes, I could have continued with it as well if I wanted to, but I didn't. The whole object of this is to put in place the shading and seeing how the shading works, kind of in a very light form rather than strong. And what I was using with that was an F pencil, which is not. It's a bit harder than the 2B, not quite as hard as an HB, but I could have used an HB as well. Now, the reason I did that is I didn't want it to be too heavy, too strong. You see what I mean? Otherwise, it would have been overpowering and I would have lost the effect that I wanted. Now, we're not going to see very much of this because I've only just started it. But by the time we get to next week, and you'll see quite a difference, I will attempt to do a halfway job, bits that you see, maybe the trunk and the bottom of the feet and the tusks. perhaps not done and the top of the picture done. I'll try to get, well, I will, I'll try. I can take a photograph anytime. And then you'll be able to see the difference between the two. Now, there was one thing that I was going to do and I didn't do, is to show you the original photograph. Now, the original photograph, that's the original photograph you see there, but it's been worked on. It was on my computer and I thought, elephants don't have that colouring. You get this a lot with photographs, and they tend to make it too glamorous, too colourful. And I know elephants aren't colourful. That colour there is just about right for an elephant. I remember this many, many years ago when I was doing a picture, and I kind of I think I'd finished a picture. This is not while I was. This was when I was on my own doing it, and then I went to the wildlife park. I think was it Howlett's in Canterbury, and saw the elephants. And I thought, oh my God, they're not the colour I thought they were, and they're not. They're grey. They're a grey. But when you see them in photographs, invariably they make them ochre. Maybe it's all the mud they put on, I don't know. But anyway, they're ochre. So I edited that. I toned it down to the colour that is kind of, it's slightly ochre if you look at the picture. But you can get away with that, but I couldn't have got away with it before. If I think about it, I'll send you the other picture and we can have a look at that next week. That's the one that was on Pixabay. That's where I got it from. I couldn't believe that was on Pixabay. I thought, gosh, it's perfect.
What's interesting about this is, and let me know if this is true, when you have a picture in the daytime, an animal in a landscape in the daytime, are you more likely to keep the background and foreground the same compared to if you had a nighttime animal? Is it easier to tweak the background foreground on a nighttime animal if it's sort of surrounding is slightly masked and ambiguous compared to a daytime shot where it is quite clear, what you're looking at, so it's easier to depict?
I think it depends on the subject. This particular subject would be far, far better in the daytime. I mean, the sun, the light source is, you can see the shadow that's cast across the picture. It's captured it just right. All of the lighting is perfect. I couldn't have asked for better than that if I'd posed the elephant. But no, the background, all my backgrounds are going to be, when I'm doing a subject like this, they're going to be window dressing, really. Just giving the setting for the animal. It's the animal that's most important. I mean, all of that brush that you see, that won't be like that. And the rocks in the foreground, or the earth, and so that won't be like that. I'll be changing that. You get some idea from the sketch. I haven't put everything in. I've just put a few little wisps in there. The reason I do that, because I don't know what I'm going to be doing with it yet. It depends on the animal. It's the animal that's important. And I've got to then frame the surround and all the brush and the rocks and all the other bits and pieces accordingly. Now, what I do like about this is it's almost the, with my 2/3 rule, 1, 2, 3, not quite, but near enough. And that's what I like. When you split the picture in the middle, it always looks odd. Well, I wouldn't do that. I'd change it one way or the other. But this, you can see what I've done there. I've more or less kept it on the sketch. I've kept it more or less as it is in the photograph.
Yeah. So then, so this is the initial sketch that you've done, but you have started the picture, because you sent me a little update just to say, hey, I've started it, and here's what we're looking at now. And you can see that sky's gone in there. And have you put any color there on the elephant yet? I couldn't really tell.
No, no. Well, yes, there is actually. If you look at what I wanted to do is to check out the light on the animal to compare with the background. You see, on the photographic reference, the light on the side of the animal, that's on the left as we're looking at it, on his body, you can see that light source. Now that is almost disappeared on the photograph. Can't help it. That's a photograph is what it is. You can't alter that. But we can. We can alter it to the point where we get a little bit more clarity. And I wanted to do that. So what you've got there is slightly darker sky, but nothing much. I didn't want anything that was too blue. So I've actually used grey in that sky as well. There's a blue in there, but I wanted it to be grey. So therefore, I put the white in there, and then I put the grey. You've got the 270 grey. I've used 270, 273 again. I've had a run of that, haven't I? The wolf last time, it was all that colour. Well, so you can see now very, very clearly the silhouette, really, of that time. So it was really just, I was playing with it to see how the relationship is. And of course, the other thing is, you've got to make sure that you don't have any graphite lines, because when you've got an area like that, if you've got a heavy graphite line, you probably wouldn't get rid of it. Well, you could rub it out, but again, rubbing out, seriously rubbing out, can start to damage the paper, and I don't like to do that. If it doesn't come off with a soft rubber, it just stays there. Or I don't do it in the first place. But that's what I did. Now, the other thing I wanted to do there was to check out on the green. There's a green there. Again, everything there has to stand away from the background. And I put that little bit of green in and a tiny bit of the foreground in. But that green will have ochre in it. It hasn't got any at the moment, but it will, because that depends on what I do with the elephant. I won't be doing any more background there, any more of that distant hills and so on, until I finish the elephant. But doing something like this, to begin with, you get an idea of what you're going to be looking for.
Excellent. Really good to hear your process and to see another picture started, again with a slightly different approach with the sketch, and your choices behind what you're doing there. So it's looking great. Dad. I look forward to seeing an update next week. I hope that's been insightful to everyone listening in on your process and what does and doesn't work out, and then also seeing sort of a fresh start on a new picture that is looking like this one's going to work. So thanks, Dad.
I'm looking forward to doing this one. You see, that's the difference. If you're looking forward to doing something like that, you're going to enjoy it. And if you enjoy it, it's going to come off. Whereas the owl, I didn't have that feeling you get in your gut that tells you this is going to be a great picture, like the wolf was particularly. I mean, that's been very successful. We've had a lot of nice people commented on that. And quite rightly too, because it did come off possibly even better than I really thought it would.
Good stuff. Okay, well, if as always, if anyone else has anything to add or questions, comments, please leave them in the comments box and get in touch with us if you would like us to discuss anything particular. But obviously we will be back next week to see Dad's updated elephant picture and how he's getting on with that. So thank you everyone for watching and for listening. That's it for this week. I'm Stephen Bradley.
And I'm Colin Bradley. Enjoy your week.
Enjoy your week.